Tucker and Dale versus Evil. The film begins on, no, it's found footage. But luckily someone clogs the wife of the director and the director himself over the head, and we head back to normal footage. 3 days ago, somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains of West Virginia, played by somewhere in the Rocky Mountains of Alberta, we see our average horror movie college kids flying down the road. They nearly get into a wreck, but Chad says, whatever, they're just hillbillies, as they get passed by them. But oh no, they're out of their driving beer, so they gotta go get some, and aw man, those rednecks are still there. This one is Tucker, played by Alan Tudyk, who's definitely in the last 10 years become one of those, hey, it's that guy that you know from everything, but you can't remember his name. One of the college girls is Allison, played by Christina Bausman, who horror fans probably know from Piranha 3 Double D, and everyone else knows her for Siri, 30 Rock. She's looking around the store, but Dale's looking at her. Dale's played by Tyler Labine, who kind of looks like Canadian David Harbour, but Tyler played Hunk in Netflix Voltron Legendary Defenders. Everything is connected. Dale gets some pickled eggs, and he just, for some reason, starts eating them like chips. A decision the director is going to seriously regret because behind the scenes, he's going to have a lot of trouble talking and eating them.
You got the fire. Shit.
There goes the pickled eggs all over the back of the truck.
We just still got the fire.
We're gonna eat those, damn it, Tucker.
So Dale's sweet on the college girls, but he's also hard on himself. So Tucker says, man up, you're going to be fine. Just talk to them, laugh a little. So Dale grabs his flirting scythe, and it goes about as well as you would imagine. Oh well, we got our driving beer. But shit, the pig smelled it, and Tucker spilled it all over him, and Dale has to clean it up, and he accidentally gets his shirt ripped open. Nothing to see here. We're just going on vacation. But up them heels is nothing but danger, and your blinker's out. So grabbing a couple more totally not Miller lights, and they head to the Evil Dead cabin. It's already pre-decorated. This Airbnb's awesome.
Chubby's Chili Dog Depot.
Buy 3, get 2 free, no expiration date.
All right.
Hell yeah. But damn, one of those beams keeps falling down with nails in it. Just cover it in spray foam, it'll be fine. The college kids are camping and having story time about the Memorial Day Massacre. Back in the sepia-tone 80s, a bunch of good old boys killed Stephen King. But enough of that redneck shit, let's go skinny dipping! It takes them all day to head down to the lake. Tucker and Dale are out fishing, drinking some bush lattes, and even got a Patty Blue. By skinny dipping, the college kids meant they're going to swim in their underwear. Allison climbs up to a rock, and Tucker wants to peek on them, but Dale doesn't. This accidentally alerts her, and she falls into the lake. That was 40 degrees. Dale hops in to save her, but the other college kids witness what's going on and kind of get the wrong impression. So they run off thinking that Allison got kidnapped, as Tucker and Dale sail off thinking they just rescued her from drowning. She wakes up the next day in the cabin with a weird dog. The college kids are out looking for Allison, and Chad says, we don't need no police, we got this by ourselves. But Chuck says that's stupid and runs off. And Jason finds the cabin. Jason is played by Jack from Power Rangers SPD, so I guess they do have a cop with them. Dale makes some breakfast in bed and explains the situation to Allison. So we'll just wait for your college friends to pick you up, everything's fine, we'll pass the time with Trivial Pursuit. Don't mind the dog, she lost an eye to a porcupine, that's just nature. The college kids decide who's going in to see what's going on, and Mitch draws a short straw with his uniform. It's looking pretty spooky, especially because Tucker is chainsawing some stumps and didn't look inside that there's a beehive in. Whoa, whoa! Flailing around like Texas Chainsaw Part 2, he runs past Mitch, who runs straight into a tree. Meanwhile, Dale's clearly on the spectrum because he ain't good at talking to folks, but he's good at memorying stuff. Allison studies sociology, studying how people have two different viewpoints and how misconceptions can happen, and, if you couldn't tell, that's the theme of the movie yet. Tucker returns covered in stings, and he's pissed because he's got covered in stings, and Dale's up here having a party. So 2 good old boys go look for the college kids, and Allison stays put. College kids find Mitch's body, and they start thinking they did this to him on purpose. Fuck technology, we don't need cops, we got this, hide! Somehow the 2 don't notice the dead body attached to a tree, so So they leave a note for the college kids. With nothing better to use, they carve it into a tree with an axe. Back at the cabin, Tucker's got the wood chipper going, and Allison is feeling better enough so she can dig the shithole. But kids think that this is her digging her own grave. So they come up with a plan so Mike and Todd grab something sharp. Dale's alerted to their presence and accidentally bonks Allison on the back of the head with a shovel like a cartoon. As Todd spears himself and Mike yeets into the back of the wood chipper, spearing blood all over Tucker and the tanning bed girl from Final Destination 3. Yes, Chad was also in Final Destination 3. With Allison fine but knocked out, the two guys traumatized have to put the pieces together. Clearly, suicide pact. And they're after Allison. We can't call the cops, you know what this looks like? Chad says something about kill or be killed, but luckily Chuck arrives with the sheriff. Now, Sheriff, I know what this looks like, but you gotta trust me. It's not what it looks like. Sheriff is kind of not really buying it, so they have to look in on Allison, and she's fine, but he still thinks his looks kind of sus. He accidentally leans on that damn murder beam and gets a face full of beam. So Keith hops out, grabbing a gun.
Oh, you gotta take the safety off on the side there. Don't do that!
Revolvers don't have safeties. I know not everyone's had gun safety, but you should probably know better to wave the gun around your face. Chad dives in like an action movie and uses that 6-shooter, but luckily it's a movie so it has about as many shots as it needs. Oh no, they got the dog! So Tucker comes up with a plan for Dale to use the nail gun as suppressing fire, and Tucker gets the dog. I guess they learn how to use nail guns from Nail Gun Massacre, because the nails shouldn't be able to shoot off unless he pushes the thing down. But Tucker gets the dog, but they notice him. Tucker covers himself in mud and leaves. He definitely fools the predator, but not the humans. He still gets tied up and gets some parts cut off like the predator did it, though. Allison comes to and gets told what happened, as they find Tucker's digits and a note they somehow wrote. So Dale's gonna go kick some college ass. Luckily, he doesn't get a second peek hole and he frees Tucker. But at that same moment, Chad and the crew heads to the cabin. Allison tries to explain that she's fine, but they think Stockholm Syndrome. As Chad's dousing the place in gas, before it gets too dangerous, the two arrive. But Allison's able to talk them down and start talking at the table.
Is that chamomile tea? Because I can't have that. It fucks with my asthma.
It's Earl Grey.
Oh, I love Earl Grey. That's great.
So telling their sides of the story, Chad says he hates rednecks because during the Memorial Day massacre, his mom was the only survivor and he was raised by his grandma. Meanwhile, the other two are tired of waiting, so they run in, weed whacker in hand, and accidentally buzz one of their friends. This leads into a chaotic brawl in which tables are flipped. Chad accidentally sets Jason on fire, not getting help by getting accidentally doused in moonshine, and then the convenient corner of gas tanks, and the whole place blows up. The two Allison are fine, but Chad is now Two-Face. Dale tries driving away, but he's too busy looking at Chad to accidentally not see the tree. Waking up after the crash, he finds Tucker, who gives him some motivation to go into the climax and save Allison. At the old abandoned sawmill. Suiting up, he finds Allison strapped to a log about to be cut in half like a cartoon, and Chad is there and they fight. Originally the fight was going to go on longer with doubles, but they realized the doubles didn't look that much like the actors, so they cut out most of this. And it ends with a big CG 3D axe toss, and Allison is saved. Some chainsaw shenanigans, and Dale and Alice make it to the second story, where they find tea. Why would there be tea in the office of a lumber mill? And a newspaper showing that, wait a minute, Chad's dad wasn't killed Memorial Day. He was the killer. Being a murderer and a redneck is genetic. He breaks on in, but luckily Dale has some pocket tea.
But he'll be okay as long as we get him his inhaler.
The day is saved. The official story, it was a suicide pact, as these are the reporters from the beginning of the film, so they kind of just spoiled that Chaz is alive. But so is Tucker, with some of his original digits. Originally, he was supposed to die before the climax, but they decided against it. But he's got some Patty Blue, and Dale and Alice are hitting it off. So Dale passes on his advice to some guy at the bowling alley to have his own misunderstanding adventures. Not our problem. Final body count 15. This movie's great. The film takes your standard horror movie tropes of rednecks out in the middle of nowhere, along with a bunch of city-slicking college fucks, and flipping it in a big misunderstanding in a hilarious way, with dealing with the themes of classism and the prejudice people hold based on your economic background. Tucker and Dale are both lovable characters. Just love seeing Dale becoming more confident, and Tucker opening up more to his friend. Even the horror aspect is handled well, with tons of unique deaths. The only real negatives of the film I can think of is the whole ending where Chad is revealed to be half hillbilly, and they treat it like it's a racism thing. Even though hillbilly's not a race, it's a social economic class. And also the opening revealing that Chad is alive and taking out the reporters feels like they accidentally put the twist ending / post credits at the very beginning of the film. Overall, if you're looking for a good horror comedy, this is honestly one of the best. 9.5 out of 10. And if you like my video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe.